Hi, Linda Bowen here from StampingWithLinda.com, your cardiologist since 1997, helping you create cards from the heart. Today is a Creative Fold card, and it is a Joy Fold card. And I'm using a lot of the new products that I just received. And one of them is the You Move Me bundle. And look at how fun that butterfly is fluttering off the card. I did it in a little pocket. I shared a video last week that Stampin' Up had done, but I want to show you how I made a little pocket on the front of my Joy Fold. And I also used the pine wood planks. I don't know if you can see it very well on the video, but I used it on the base of the card and just to give it some texture. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm first going to bring in my pieces of Early Espresso. The one piece measures 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. That is the base for my card, and the fold for that will be over to the left. The other piece of Early Espresso is 3 by 8, and I'm going to score that at 4. Now, if you head over to my blog by clicking on the I at the top, or if you're watching on YouTube at the link at the bottom, it'll take you right to my blog so that you can get all the information and print it out on the sizes of this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in that big shot, and I am going to bring in the Pinewood Planks Dynamic Folder. Now, this folder is a lot thicker than our normal embossing folders, so I am not going to be using that adapter. And what I want to do is I want to do the top flap and the back flap. I want to make sure that the Stampin' Up logo is facing up so that the grain will emboss out. So first I'm just going to do that back. You want to make sure that you keep your embossing folder nice and straight, because if you don't, it is a 6-inch folder and it will bend up the ends if you don't feed it through exactly even. Also, you can spritz this paper to make it deeper. I find that I don't need to do that. You notice that I did only use that one cutting mat, so I did the one side. Now I want it to be raised up on the flap. So again, going to put the top part of that up against where it says Stampin' Up, and that tells me where it's going to emboss out. And I'm going to run that through. Next, what I have is a piece of Very Vanilla, and it measures 3 inches by 3 1/2. And I'm going to bring in the little blind piece, and how I made my pocket for the front of this. If you remember the last video, it had us putting it in an envelope. Well, I wanted it on the front of my card. So again, I cut that cardstock 3 inches by 3 1/2, and I want the top of that blind to be right up at the edge of the paper, and I've got 1/4 of an inch all the way around the outside edge. Oops, I want to use my precision plate. Almost forgot that. And I need that adapter back for my big shot. So I'm going to put the adapter back, the precision plate. Now I'm going to line that up again. So again, the top of that die right up against the top of the cardstock. Now you could place a Post-it note or washi tape, painter's tape to hold it in place. My cutting mats are nice and smooth, so I don't think it's going to bounce around too much. I'm going to run that through at least twice. I may even run it through the third time, just to make sure that those little pieces just flop right out of that move that big shot out of the way, right out of the die. And I have found that once I remove my die, if I just kind of work the corners like this, all those little pieces just pop right up. And go to the other side, do the same thing. They're very delicate, so you don't want to use a lot of pressure. Just bend it back and forth until they all fall out. So I've got my blind. And it looks like I've got all the pieces out. So I'm going to push them aside. Going to bring in my personal trimmer. And what I'm going to do is on the 3 sides, I am going to score it 1/4 inch. And 1/4 inch is just that first line past your cutting line. And like I said, I'm going to score. So I'm going to score 1/4 inch all the way around on the 3 sides. Then what I will do is I want to fold those edges up and make sure that I've got that nice crisp score line. If I had my bone folder over here, here it is. It would help better just to flatten those ends down. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out the corners. So I don't want any bulkiness to this. Let's get those edges burnished. It's straight. Yeah. So I've got that. I'm going to open it back up, and I'm just going to cut out the little square in the corner. So grab my snips. And that way it relieves that bulkiness. And then I just used glue dots on the corners down here to fold it under. Really no pressure with this moving back and forth. So I found that the glue dots, the press and tape was a little bit too big, and you may have to kind of roll that glue dot in a little bit so that the edges go right down nice. Do the same on the other side. So, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount that on the front of my card. Again, not much pressure on this, so I'm just going to use glue dots. Again, I could use the tomboy glue or the fine tip glue, but I have been able to just use those glue dots. You just want to make sure that they're tucked in if they're overlapping a little bit. So I've got that. And I'm going to just apply it right to the front flap of that joy fold, like so. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another piece of Very Vanilla. This measures 3 inches by 3.5 inches, and I'm going to bring in my 2 striped hummingbirds from that You Moved It bundle, and I am going to use chocolate chip. I'm going to be stamping the full hummingbird. Did I call that a butterfly earlier? I may have. It's late at night. I should be in bed, but instead I'm doing videos, so bear with me. I'm going to stamp it in the far left corner. And then I'm going to come in with the smaller hummingbird, and I'm going to stamp that. I'm going to find a scrap piece of paper over here, and I am going to stamp off, and then I'm going to line that up. And I don't want to be on top of my current hummingbird lines. So let's see, that is where the lines are, so I'm just going to move it up and over a little bit so that I kind of get that Venetian blind look, that fluttering look. And then next what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a handheld punch. I'm going to, this is about 1/8 of an inch, because I am going to use my 1/8 inch stitched ribbon. I'm going to cut a piece of that, and I'm going to use that for the pull. I'm going to take the two ends, put them through that one of them went through nicely. Let's see if I can get the other one through. There it comes. And then I'm just going to loop them through. It's just for a little pull to pull that slide up in the front of my card. Well, there it comes. Got that. Going to insert that. The first time you insert it, it may take a little pushing it back and forth just to make sure that it runs up and down. But see how that butterfly just flutters right along? I just love that look. And so this is a great way to put this on the front of a card. Again, this will be a creative fold card. So I've got that. I've already taken the flower from that set and have stamped that, and it comes with a die cut, and so I die cut the leaf and the flower. Going to get a dimensional and take that leaf and kind of pop that up like off to the side here, and then I will just take a glue dot for the flower and stick it down in so it looks like that hummingbird is going right into that flower. Isn't that pretty? So interactive. So now I'm going to put my card together, going to bring in that base that I have already scored, and this time I am going to use the tear and tape on the back of the card because it is going on to that base where I have embossed with that pine wood planks, and I want to make sure that this sticks very well because we're going to be opening and closing that card a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I do see that I did not bring over my piece of vanilla that goes in the inside. Very hard to see words on your card when it is the dark color like the chocolate chip. And I forgot to bring that piece over. Well, this one doesn't want to remove. Whenever your sticky tape doesn't want to remove, if you take your bone folder and burnish those edges down, usually it peels right up just like that. So then I'm going to just kind of line that right in here. And so the piece of paper that goes in here measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I used the stamps from that set, and I used the peach ink pad to stamp that with. So again, I will have all the measurements over on my blog, and hope you've enjoyed this interaction. Create a fold. Talk to you real soon. Bye bye.